The first thing you need to understand about humans is that they are absolutely, positively, categorically insane. And the second thing, they are terrifyingly good at being insane in the most effective ways possible. I learned this the hard way, naturally. My name is Quix Beta 7, and I used to be the Tactical Assessment Director for the Hegemony's 4th Fleet. Used to be, past, because now I spend my days analyzing human behavioral patterns and wondering how in the 7 hells we ever thought conquering their little blue marble would be a good idea. The meeting that changed everything happened 3 rotations ago. I was reviewing the termination lists when Admiral Vorth Prime strutted into my analysis chamber, his forearms gesturing wildly as he always did when he thought he had brilliant news. "Quix, wonderful developments from the Terror campaign," he announced, his voice carrying that insufferable tone he used when he believed he was about to impress someone. "The human resistance has been reduced to a mere handful of settlements. Our intelligence division has compiled the final elimination roster." He tossed the datapad onto my workstation with dramatic flair. The list contained exactly what I expected: names, locations, threat assessments, elimination priorities. Standard procedure for the final phase of any planetary conquest. What I did not expect was the name that caught my attention immediately. Luna Martinez. I read aloud, my secondary eyes focusing on the age notation. 17 standard years. "Admiral, this individual appears to be, well, barely an adult by human standards." Admiral Vorth Prime's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among our species. "Ah, but that is precisely why she is so dangerous, my dear Quix. The humans have this peculiar habit of elevating their young to positions of strategic importance when facing extinction. She has been identified as the primary coordinator for the remaining resistance cells." I stared at the datapad, feeling something that I would later recognize as the first stirring of doubt. A 17-year-old human is coordinating interplanetary resistance operations. Apparently so, and quite effectively, I might add. She has managed to establish communication networks across 6 different continents, coordinate supply chains for underground movements. And, this is the truly remarkable part, she has actually increased recruitment numbers during our final assault phase. The Admiral's confidence was palpable, but something about this information felt fundamentally wrong to me. In my 43 years of military service, I had never encountered a species that consistently promoted their juveniles to leadership positions during existential crises. Most civilized species protected their young, kept them away from strategic decisions, used their adults for such responsibilities. "Admiral," I said carefully, "have we considered the possibility that this apparent youth leadership might be intentional misdirection?" He waved 2 of his arms dismissively. "Nonsense. Our intelligence is impeccable. The humans are simply desperate. They are placing children in adult roles because they have no choice. It makes our job easier, really. That was the moment I should have trusted my instincts. That was the moment I should have recommended a complete strategic review. Instead, I nodded and began processing the termination orders according to standard protocol. 3 days later, Luna Martinez was dead. Also, the elimination team reported successful completion of their mission. Visual confirmation, DNA samples, the works. Standard procedure. The young human coordinator had been located at a resistance safe house, terminated along with 12 other individuals, and the facility had been completely destroyed. I remember feeling a strange mixture of relief and unease as I updated the tactical database. Relief, because we had eliminated what appeared to be a significant threat. Unease, because something about the entire operation felt too easy, too convenient. Then the reports started coming in. "Sir," my junior analyst Crix9 called out from his station, "we are receiving unusual activity reports from the Terra surface." "Define unusual," I responded, though I already suspected I would not like the answer. The human resistance networks appear to be expanding rapidly in sectors where we had confirmed complete elimination of leadership structures. I felt my stomach drop. Expanding. How? New communication protocols, sir. More sophisticated than anything we had previously observed. And they are coordinating attacks with precision that suggests, well, it suggests central command authority. The next few hours were a blur of incoming reports, each one more disturbing than the last. Human resistance cells that had been scattered and disorganized were suddenly operating with military precision. Supply chains that had been disrupted were not only restored, but improved. Most disturbingly, new recruitment numbers were astronomical. "Get me a direct channel to Admiral Vorth Prime," I ordered, feeling something I had never experienced before in my military career, genuine fear. The Admiral's image appeared on my communication screen, and I could see immediately that he was receiving similar reports from his own intelligence network. "Quicks, please tell me you have an explanation for these developments," he said, his voice lacking its usual confidence. "Sir, I believe we may have made a significant error in our assessment of the human resistance structure." "What kind of error?" I took a deep breath, knowing that my next words would fundamentally alter our understanding of human warfare. "I believe Luna Martinez may not have been the coordinator we eliminated." The Admiral's expression shifted through several emotions in rapid succession: confusion, disbelief, anger, and finally something that looked disturbingly like panic. "Explain." "Sir, the resistance activities we are observing are not consistent with decapitation of leadership. They are consistent with the opposite. They are consistent with the appointment of new leadership. More effective leadership. That is impossible." Our intelligence confirmed her identity, her role, her elimination. "Yes, sir. But consider this possibility. What if the intelligence was accurate, but incomplete? What if Luna Martinez was not the primary coordinator, but rather a decoy?" The silence that followed was deafening. I could see the Admiral processing this possibility, and I could see the exact moment when he realized the implications. "You are suggesting that the humans deliberately presented a juvenile as their primary strategic coordinator, knowing that we would prioritize her elimination." "I am suggesting that the humans may be far more sophisticated in their strategic deception than we previously understood. What happened next would haunt me for the rest of my career." The Admiral's communication system erupted with incoming priority alert. Emergency reports from ground commanders, fleet tactical officers, orbital bombardment coordinators, all saying the same thing. The human resistance had not only reorganized, but had somehow acquired capabilities that should have been impossible for a species facing extinction. "Sir," I said quietly, "I believe we need to consider the possibility that we have been systematically underestimating human strategic capabilities." The Admiral's response was immediate and decisive. "Initiate Protocol 7. Full planetary bombardment. If we cannot eliminate their leadership, we eliminate their entire infrastructure." I felt my blood freeze. Protocol 7 was reserved for species that posed existential threats to hegemony expansion. It involved the complete sterilization of planetary surfaces, the elimination of all biological life, the rendering of worlds uninhabitable for millennia. "Admiral, are you certain that level of response is warranted?" "Quicks, we have been conducting operations against the human species for 18 standard months. We have superior technology, superior numbers, superior tactical doctrine. Yet somehow, a species that had barely achieved interplanetary travel has not only resisted our conquest, but appears to be gaining strategic advantage. Protocol 7 is not just warranted, it is essential." I wanted to argue, but the reports streaming across my workstation told a story that was becoming impossible to deny. Human resistance forces were not just reorganizing, they were innovating. They were developing new tactical approaches, new communication systems, new recruitment strategies that were more effective than anything we had previously encountered. "Initiate the protocol," I confirmed, though every instinct I possessed was screaming that we were making a terrible mistake. The bombardment began 6 hours later, and that is when we learned the most important lesson about human warfare. They do not fight the war you expect them to fight. They fight the war they choose to fight. The first indication that something was wrong came from our orbital bombardment coordinators. The planetary surface energy readings were anomalous. Instead of the expected devastation patterns, They were detecting what appeared to be coordinated energy deflection. "Sir," my senior tactical officer reported, "the humans appear to have developed some form of planetary defense grid." "That is impossible," Admiral Vorth Prime responded. "Our intelligence indicated no such capabilities." "Nevertheless, sir, bombardment effectiveness is at 17% of projected impact." 17%. We were unleashing enough firepower to sterilize a planet, and the humans were somehow deflecting 83% of it. That was when the second shoe dropped. "Sir," another officer called out, "we have incoming transmission from the planetary surface. It appears to be a general broadcast." "Put it through," the Admiral ordered. The voice that came through our communication system was young, female, and absolutely terrifying in its calm confidence. "This is Luna Martinez, speaking for the United Earth Resistance. We would like to thank the Hegemony forces for their recent demonstration of orbital bombardment capabilities. Your tactical doctrine has been most educational." The Admiral's face went through several color changes. "That is impossible. Luna Martinez was confirmed eliminated 3 days ago." The voice continued, and I could swear I heard amusement in it. "Oh, that. Yes." Maria Gonzalez played her role beautifully. She volunteered for the deception operation, knowing that it would give us the time we needed to implement our actual strategic response. I felt the universe shift around me. The humans had not only anticipated our tactical approach, they had deliberately manipulated our intelligence, sacrificed one of their own to create a strategic advantage, and used our own assassination protocols against us. "You see," the voice continued, "we realized early in this conflict that you consistently underestimate young humans, so we decided to use that bias against you." Maria pretended to be me, knowing that you would target her, knowing that her sacrifice would convince you that you had eliminated our primary coordinator. The Admiral was no longer able to speak. I could see him struggling to process what he was hearing. "But here is the thing about humans that you never understood," Luna Martinez continued, her voice now carrying an edge that made my primary and secondary nervous systems activate simultaneously. "We do not just have backup plans. We have backup plans for our backup plan. And when you forced us to implement our deepest contingency protocols, you gave us something we had never possessed before: complete unity of purpose." The communication ended, and that is when the real war began. The next 48 hours redefined everything I thought I knew about warfare, strategy, and the fundamental nature of intelligence itself. You have to understand, the Hegemony had conquered 47 different species across 12 sectors. We had tactical doctrines that were refined across centuries of successful military campaigns. We had never, not once, encountered a species that could turn our own strategic advantages against us so completely. The first sign that we were dealing with something unprecedented came from our communications division. "Sir," Communications Officer Plex 12 reported, his voice carrying that particular tone that meant very bad news. "We are detecting massive increases in human communication traffic. But sir, the patterns are usual." "Define unusual. Define unusual," I said, though I was rapidly learning to dread that phrase. "The communications are not following standard resistance protocols. They appear to be coordinated lectures." Admiral Vorth Prime, who had been silent for the past 6 hours, finally spoke. "Lectures?" "Yes, sir. Educational broadcasts. The humans appear to be teaching each other advanced tactical doctrine in real time. They are conducting what can only be described as a planet-wide military academy." I felt my secondary stomach drop. "They are weaponizing their educational systems?" "It appears so, sir, but more than that. They are treating our invasion as a learning opportunity." The Admiral's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. "Show me." The main display activated, showing intercepted human communications. What I saw there challenged everything I believed about how species respond to existential threats. Instead of panic, desperation, or the usual breakdown of social structures we expected during final phase conquests, the humans had somehow transformed their entire planetary population into what appeared to be a collective strategic think tank. "Listen to this," Plex 12 said, activating an audio feed. A mature human voice, calm and educational, filled our command center. Now, as we can see from the Hegemony's bombardment patterns, their tactical doctrine prioritizes infrastructure destruction over population elimination. This suggests a conquest-based rather than termination-based strategic framework. Emma, can you analyze their energy weapon signatures? Another voice, younger, responded immediately. Based on the deflection data from our planetary grid, their weapons operate on crystalline energy matrices. If we can disrupt the harmonic frequencies, we can potentially turn their own firepower against their fleet positions. The Admiral and I exchanged glances. The humans were not just analyzing our weapons, they were developing countermeasures in real time, broadcasting their discoveries across their entire population. Sir, I said carefully, this is not standard resistance behavior. No. The Admiral agreed. This is something else entirely. What happened next would become the defining moment of my military career, and quite possibly the most important tactical lesson in Hegemony history. Sir, our long-range sensors officer called out urgently. We have multiple contacts approaching from the outer system, configuration unknown. The Admiral's expression shifted from agitation to confusion. Approaching from where? Sir, they appear to be human vessels. But sir, these configs are not in our intelligence database. I felt the blood drain from my face. How many vessels? Sir, we are detecting 43 distinct signatures. And sir, they are not approaching in standard formation patterns. The Admiral activated the tactical display, and what we saw there defied everything we thought we knew about human technological capabilities. The approaching vessels were unlike anything in our comprehensive database of human spacecraft. They were larger, more sophisticated, and moving with coordinated precision that suggested advanced tactical computing systems. Admiral, I said quietly, I believe we need to consider the possibility that our intelligence regarding human technological development has been incomplete. Before the Admiral could respond, our communications system activated with an incoming message. This is Captain Sophia Reyes of the Earth Strategic Defense Fleet. We are requesting immediate cessation of hostile activities and the commencement of formal negotiations. The Admiral's forearms began gesturing wildly. Strategic Defense Fleet. Our intelligence indicated no such organization existed. The voice continued, and I could hear something in it that made my combat instincts activate: absolute confidence. We understand that you may be surprised by our presence. The Earth Defense Fleet has been in development for the past 2 years, utilizing technological advances acquired through our analysis of your military capabilities. 2 years. The humans had been preparing for this moment for 2 years. You see, Captain Reyes continued, we realized early in your invasion that you consistently underestimate our adaptive capabilities. So we decided to use that assumption to our advantage. While you were focused on our surface resistance, we were developing response capabilities that would surprise you. The Admiral was no longer able to speak coherently. I could see him struggling with the implications of what he was hearing. But here is what you really need to understand about humans. The captain continued, her voice now carrying an edge of steel that made my primary nervous system activate. We do not fight wars the way you expect us to fight wars. We fight wars the way we choose to fight wars. The tactical display updated, showing the approaching human fleet spreading into attack formation. But it was not any attack formation in our tactical databases. It was something entirely new. Admiral, I said urgently, we need to consider immediate withdrawal. But it was too late for withdrawal. The humans had already made their next move. Sir, our weapons officer called out. The human vessels are emitting some kind of harmonic frequency. It appears to be, sir, it appears to be disrupting our energy weapon system. The Admiral's face went through every color in the spectrum. They are using our own weapon signatures against us? Yes, sir. And sir, they appear to be coordinating their attack patterns with the planetary defense grid. I watched in fascination and horror as the humans demonstrated something that would revolutionize military tactical doctrine across the galaxy. They had turned their entire planet into a single, coordinated weapons platform. "This is Luna Martinez," came the voice from the planetary surface, "coordinating integrated defense operations." And there it was. The 17-year-old human that we had supposedly eliminated was not only alive, but was apparently commanding a combined space and planetary defense operation that was systematically dismantling our tactical advantages. "Admiral," I said, my voice barely above a whisper, "I believe we need to initiate emergency withdrawal protocols." But the Admiral was beyond rational decision-making. The systematic destruction of everything he believed about military strategy had left him unable to function. "Sir," the weapons officer called out again, "the human fleet is not attacking." "What?" "They are maintaining defensive positions, sir. They appear to be waiting." The communications system activated again. "This is Luna Martinez. We would like to offer you a choice. You can continue your current tactical approach, in which case, we will demonstrate why that would be inadvisable. Or you can accept our invitation to formal negotiations." The Admiral found his voice. "Negotiations? You are a primitive species, facing extinction. What could you possibly offer in negotiations?" The silence that followed was the most terrifying sound I had ever heard. "Admiral," Luna Martinez responded, her voice carrying amusement that made my combat instincts scream warnings, "we would like to offer you education." "Education?" "Yes. You see, over the past 18 months, we have been studying your tactical doctrine, your strategic frameworks, your technological capabilities, and your psychological profiles. We have learned quite a lot about how the Hegemony conducts military operations." The Admiral's mandibles clicked rapidly. And we have discovered that your approach to warfare is inefficient." I felt the universe shift around me again. The humans were not just defending themselves, they were critiquing our military doctrine. "We would like to offer you the opportunity to learn more effective approaches to interspecies conflict resolution. Approaches that do not require the elimination of entire populations." The Admiral was beyond coherent. I could see him struggling with the fundamental impossibility of what he was hearing. "Admiral," I said quietly, "I believe we should consider their offer." "Consider their offer? Quicks, we are the Hegemony. We do not negotiate with primitive species, sir," I responded, looking at the tactical display showing human forces that had completely outmaneuvered our fleet. "I do not believe the humans qualify as primitive anymore." What happened next would become the most important diplomatic moment in Hegemony history. The communications system activated one final time. "This is Luna Martinez. We understand that this situation is unprecedented for your species. We would like to give you time to consider our offer. In the meantime, we would like to share something with you." The main display activated, showing what appeared to be a comprehensive analysis of Hegemony military operations across multiple sectors. "Over the past 2 years, we have been studying your historical conquest patterns. We have identified significant inefficiencies in your strategic approaches. We believe we can offer you methods that would achieve your expansion goals while reducing resource expenditure and eliminating the need for population elimination." The Admiral stared at the display, his expression shifting from confusion to disbelief to something that looked like hope. "You see," Luna Martinez continued, "the thing about humans is that we do not just adapt to challenges, we transform challenges into opportunities. Your invasion has taught us about interstellar military doctrine. In return, we would like to teach you about sustainable conquest strategies. And that is how I learned the most important lesson about human warfare. They do not just win wars, they transform the entire concept of what warfare means. But the story does not end there. Oh no. It gets so much more interesting. 3 days after the ceasefire, I found myself in the most surreal meeting of my entire career. Luna Martinez had requested a personal conference with the Hegemony's senior tactical staff, not demanded, mind you. Request with the kind of polite formality that somehow made it absolutely clear that refusing would be inadvisable. The meeting took place aboard the human flagship, a vessel that defied every assumption we had made about their technological capabilities. The conference room, well, it was designed for humans, which meant everything was scaled wrong for my species. But somehow the humans had managed to make it feel welcoming rather than intimidating. Luna Martinez entered the room, and I got my first direct look at the individual who had single-handedly revolutionized my understanding of strategic warfare. She was exactly what our intelligence had described: young, small by human standards, unremarkable in appearance. She was also absolutely terrifying in the most subtle way possible. "Gentlemen," she said, settling into her chair with the kind of casual confidence that suggested she was completely comfortable being the only human in a room full of aliens who had recently been trying to kill her entire species. "Thank you for accepting our invitation." Admiral Vorth Prime cleared his throat. "Miss Martinez, we appreciate your restraint in your recent tactical demonstrations. However, we must ask, what exactly are your intentions regarding Hegemony expansion operation?" Luna Martinez smiled, and I realized that human facial expressions were far more complex than our xenobiological studies had indicated. This particular smile suggested amusement, patience, and something that might have been sympathy. "Admiral, our intentions are quite simple. We want to help you become more effective at what you do." The Admiral's mandibles clicked uncertainly. "More effective at conquest, more effective at expansion. You see, we have been studying your historical records, and we have identified some significant inefficiencies in your current methods." She activated a holographic display that showed hegemony expansion patterns across the past 2 centuries. The detail was staggering. They had not just analyzed our recent operations, they had conducted a comprehensive historical analysis of our entire military doctrine. "Your current approach requires an average of 4.7 years per successful planetary conquest, with resource expenditure rates that limit your expansion to approximately 2.3 new systems per decade. Additionally, your population elimination protocols require significant post-conquest infrastructure rebuilding, which further reduces efficiency." I stared at the display, feeling something I had never experienced before: professional inadequacy. The humans had not just defeated us. They had performed a more thorough analysis of our military capabilities than our own strategic planning division had ever conducted. "Now," Luna Martinez continued, "we believe we can offer you alternative approaches that would increase your expansion rate to approximately 6.8 systems per decade, while reducing resource expenditure by 37%. The Admiral was silent for a long moment. "And the cost of this? Assistance? Partnership? Partnership? Yes. You see, humans have always been interested in interstellar expansion. Your invasion has taught us that the galaxy is much more complex than we previously understood. We would like to participate in that complexity." I felt my understanding of the situation shift again. The humans were not just defending themselves. They were negotiating their way into galactic civilization. "You want to join the Hegemony?" the Admiral asked. "We want to transform the Hegemony into something more effective, something that benefits all participating species, rather than simply eliminating them." The silence that followed was profound. Luna Martinez waited patiently, while the Admiral and I processed the implications of what she was suggesting. "Ms. Martinez," I said carefully, "are you proposing that we restructure the fundamental basis of hegemony expansion doctrine?" "I am proposing that you consider the possibility that there might be better ways to achieve your expansion goals." She activated another display, this one showing projected outcomes for various strategic approaches. The mathematics were compelling. "Consider this scenario," she continued. "Instead of eliminating populations, you integrate them. Instead of destroying infrastructure, you improve it. Instead of creating resistance, you create cooperation. The resource expenditure is initially higher, but the long-term efficiency gains are substantial." The Admiral's forearms began gesturing rapidly. "But this would require fundamental changes to everything. Our entire military doctrine, our expansion protocols, your culture," Luna Martinez finished. "Yes, it would. But consider the alternative. You can continue your current approach, which works, but slowly and inefficiently, or you can try something new." What happened next was the most important moment in hegemony history. The Admiral looked at the projections, looked at me, looked back at Luna Martinez, and asked the question that would change everything. What would you need from us? Luna Martinez smiled again, and this time I recognized the expression. It was the smile of someone who had been waiting for exactly that question. We would need you to be willing to learn. 6 months later, I found myself serving as a strategic advisor to the newly formed Human Hegemony Cooperative Defense Initiative. The Admiral had been reassigned to our new Department of Interspecies Strategic Education, and Luna Martinez, the 17-year-old human who had been at the top of our elimination list, had become the director of Galactic Tactical Innovation. But the most remarkable change was not in our organizational structure, it was in our results. The Hegemony's first cooperative expansion, conducted using human-designed integration protocols, had achieved full system incorporation in 18 months. 18 months. Our previous record had been 3.2 years. More importantly, the newly integrated species had actually requested to participate in subsequent expansion operations. They had become partners rather than conquered population. You see, Luna Martinez explained to me during one of our regular strategy reviews, the thing about humans is that we understand something fundamental about intelligent species. Everyone wants to be part of something bigger than themselves. Your mistake was thinking that conquest was the only way to achieve that. I nodded, though I was still struggling to fully comprehend how completely the humans had transformed our understanding of expansion strategy. But how did you know this would work? I asked. How did you know that cooperative expansion would be more effective than conquest? Luna Martinez looked at me with that patient expression I had come to recognize as her teaching face, because that is how humans have always expanded. We do not conquer other humans. We convince them to join us, and if that approach works within our own species, why would it not work with other species? She was no longer the youngest on the list. Now she writes the lists, and every species in the galaxy is learning that when humans decide to teach, the entire universe becomes their classroom. The irony, of course, is that the Hegemony is now more successful at expansion than we have ever been in our history. We are growing faster, more efficiently, and with greater stability than our previous methods ever achieved. We just stopped calling it conquest. Now we call it education.